it seems that human beings have one strange characteristic. If we get an idea, if somebody tells us something, we create a concept. And then, this is the strangest part, we then look for where that concept is in reality. I think that it's quite strange, really. Especially noticeable in Buddhism. Somebody says, emptiness. And then we make a picture in our mind of emptiness, and then we search around for it. In books, videos, meditation, groups, wherever. So we always seem to do things that way round. First we get an idea, and then we look for where the idea is. But the most unique thing about Dogen's teachings, writings, are that he tells us not to do that. He gives us a concept. He says, don't look for it. See what that concept means to you. And he uses phrases like turning the light, inwards, or studying experience. But in a modern society, we don't like to study an experience, we like to study on YouTube, or study with the latest book. Oh, there's a new book about so-and-so, Kodasawaki. You read it, and then you read what he says, and then you think, what does he mean? What does that idea mean? But Dogen says repeatedly through all his writings in the 13th century, he says, look at yourself for a moment. So I'll tell you something, and look and see if you can find it in your own experience. Which is quite strange, but really, really useful. He also says, Zazen is the whole of, he does also Buddhism. Actually, I don't like the word Buddhism. I don't like ism on the end. I don't know whether in Czech, Slovak, Polish, whatever, it's the same, but it makes it into an abstract noun. Buddhism. And Dogen doesn't talk about Buddhism. He writes the Butsu-do. Butsu is Buddha, and Do is way, path, or truth, or teaching. So he never says Buddhism, he says the Buddha's teaching, or the Buddha's way, not the Buddhist. That's another one. Buddhist. If you're a Buddhist, you're immediately in a category. Buddhism has, in my opinion, in modern times, put itself into a big box. And then the people who like to study what's inside this box, called Buddhism, call themselves Buddhists. But even as early as the Lotus Sutra, it's written, the truth is everywhere. Although the truth is everywhere, is written in the Lotus Sutra, the American Association of Soto Zen teachers call themselves custodians of the Dharma. What? Custodian means somebody who looks after something. Custodian. Guardian. the custodians of the Dharma, which you can't help suggesting that they have it. And you can maybe come and find out. So there's lots of things in the way that the Buddha's teachings are propagated in modern society, which to me are somehow ossifying. That's too difficult a word. They make the teachings rigid in many different ways. Yeah. And my teacher, Nishijima, didn't feel like that. I don't feel like that. I feel it's time to take it out the box. You know so much more than, for instance, Dogen writing in the 13th century. You know about bodies, medicine, you know about the universe and so on. So, if the truth is everywhere, then it must be all in those places. It must be in medicine, it must be in physics, it must be in astronomy, it must be in whatever. So anyway, that's my take. What I really wanted to talk about today was Zazen. Because I've realised that Zazen has become very popular in Europe and in the States, maybe especially. And people assume that as long as you sit with your legs crossed, or however you're going to sit, and especially if it's in a kind of Japanese-looking setting, and with incense, and you sit in a special way, that's Zazen. But I wonder if that's true. It seems to me that even if you sit in the posture which we call Zazen, it's possible to be doing something else. Dogen wrote in the 13th century, Zazen is not Shuzen. And Shuzen was a very popular term in Dogen's time. It meant meditating to educate yourself, meditating to cultivate your inner self. And Dogen wrote right in the first chapter, Zazen is not meditating to cultivate yourself. And then a couple of times over the last year I visited a very nice it's becoming a Buddhist centre in Malaskala, which is just north of where I live, near Kokanashi Mountains. Very beautiful place, and there's a very clever teacher there. He has lots of students, and he's a nice guy. He's about my age. His name is Dhammadippa. That's his name. And he teaches Buddhism as deep samadhi. So when he meditates, he does deep samadhi. And according to what I understand, if you do deep samadhi, you go deep into yourself and you realise the nature of emptiness and the nature of impermanence and these kind of things. But I don't think Zazen is anything like that. So although this is a very nice man, he's very friendly and he's very, very bright, he knows much more about Buddhism than I ever learned. But we're doing something completely different. I find it impossible to go deep into myself. I don't think I have a deep self. There's no deep inside me. And I was reminded of this when recently I've started a workshop with one of the Dogen Sangha groups in London, studying one of Dogen's writings called Zazen Shin. It's one of the chapters in the Shotogenzo. Shin. And Zazen is, as with Zazen, Shin actually means a thin bamboo needle.
Shin?
It's a different Shin. Same pronunciation, different kanji. There's at least 20 different Shins. Shin means new, Shin means body, Shin means mind. This Shin means heart. Yeah, heart, mind. It's a thin bamboo needle which they used in China for agriculture. They didn't have steel needles, where you can split off a very thin sliver of bamboo and use it. And that's what they did. So Zazen Shin means acupuncture is a way of stimulating certain energy centers in the body. So what Dogen meant by Zazen Shin, that's the title of the chapter, is to stimulate your zazen. And in it, he starts the chapter with the story. One of the Chinese masters from the 9th century, master in the Japanese pronunciation, Yakusen Igen. Yakusan. Yakusan Igen appears in quite a few of the Koan stories. So Master Dogen quotes some of these Koan stories, where Master Yakusan Igen is sitting in his dojo, and the teacher in medieval China would sit on a chair, but a very big chair. It's like a raised platform with arms and the tatami with it. So the master was sitting up on his chair, his zazen seat, practicing zazen. And one of the students comes past and stops and says, "What are you doing sitting up there in a high position in the still state?" And Yakusan says, "I'm thinking about not thinking." It's a paradox. And the monk says to him, "Wait a minute, how can you think about not thinking?" And Yakusan says, "It's different from thinking." The actual phrase in Chinese or Japanese is he shiryo. Shiryo is thinking. He means different from, outside of. So this monk asks his teacher about what zazen is. And first the teacher says, he's thinking about not thinking. Doesn't really make sense. And then on further investigation, he says, well, it's different from thinking. It's outside of thinking. And Dogen liked that story because it describes the essence of zazen. So the question is, so the rest of the chapter Dogen discusses this different thinking is. And he also discusses thinking and not thinking. So there are three things: thinking, not thinking, different from thinking. And he discusses these all appear in Zazen. So when we're practicing Zazen, sometimes we're thinking. Everybody knows it. Often, most of the time we're thinking. Sometimes we're not thinking. At what times are we not thinking? Yeah. For instance, at the instant you adjust your posture because you feel your head's drop forward or your back is slumped. So at the instant you do that, you stop thinking. So we know all about thinking. We all can see that there are times when our thoughts just stop for an instant. What about this different from thinking? So after sitting for 40 or so years, the way I would describe the meaning of different thinking is that it's just sitting there. You're not deep inside yourself anymore. You're not staring at the wall and looking at the patterns. You're not listening to the bird song. You're not thinking about how you should be practicing. You're just sitting there. Like a baby. Or like a cat sits in the sun. And that's a very simple state. It's nothing to do with understanding. It's nothing to do with reading books on Buddhism. It's nothing to do with Dogen's writing. Except that in his writings, he points to this very simple state. So it seems to me that a lot of people seem to be practicing Zazen, but the amount of their Zazen when they're simply sitting might be very, very small. Why is that? Well, I mean, it's happened to me through the years. I've always sat every day, but if I, in the past when I had a busy job, if I spend a week very busily working, trapped in the pressures of society, when I sit, my mind is going around like a little water wheel. And for that wheel to stop spinning often takes a long time. So I realised after some years that our Zazen is just how we make it. And I think in the modern world it's very difficult to make Zazen into Zazen, because it takes such a long time for us to slow down to the state where we're just simply sitting. We're not lost inside ourselves. We're not thinking about what we should be doing. We're not wrapped up in the pain in our body. We're just sitting there. But we can only learn what that state of different from thinking is, the simple state, which Dogen described as dropping off our physical body, or dropping off our mental thoughts, we can only notice that state if we practice a lot, or if our lives are fairly balanced. Now, many people come to retreats, I don't know only this one, as a kind of health spa. Oh, I'm so tense, I'm so worried, I'm so upset, I go off to do a weekend or a week, zazen. And yeah, the wheel slows down and settle down, and then after it's finished, they go and you're off again. Right? This may make sense to you, people in this room. But we cannot find the simple state of sitting if the rest of our lives are furiously cycling along the road of our life. We won't do it. For this reason, Dogen meant we should leave family life. We should leave society in order to study the Buddhist truth. It sounds, are you telling me that I've got to leave my family? Or this ancient story about the Buddha leaving his wife and son. Is that what you have to do? No. In the modern world, we can practice as every morning and still live with our partners, children. We can practice as every morning and still go to our job and take our place in society. But if we become trapped in the pressures of family life, because there are, aren't there? Or the pressures of society, business, we want to get a better job, we want to promote ourselves, we want to be responsible for what we're doing. All these things will make it almost inevitable that when we sit in zazen, it takes a long time before we settle down. So that Dogen writes, because in the 13th century, if you didn't leave your family and leave society and go and live in the forest in the temple, you couldn't find any time to do anything. But even in this modern world, the people who want to make the Buddha's truth or the Buddha's way part of their life, it's impossible to do it unless you start to learn how to free yourself from family and society pressures, which are enormous. Oh, that's what it's about. I'm not sure I want to do that. Okay, fine. You can come to a retreat every few months and detox. And you can go back. I even feel this is true of some Zen groups who they have fixed place and so on, and they all come and they practice together, and they do all the rituals. Everybody knows that rituals are helpful, they make you feel calm and stable. So they come into the dojo and do all the rituals, and then they go back to their normal life. which may be chaotic and very stressful. So I'm not criticising anybody. It's very nice to go to a health spa for a week to get rid of your stress. All I'm saying is the Buddha way that Dogen taught is covers more than that. It actually requires you to modify the amount of disturbance you're getting in your daily life. Not when you come to a retreat or when you go and sit in a dojo somewhere and light the incense very peacefully. Of course that's helpful. But the Buddha way that Dogen teaches and the Buddha way that I learned from my teacher is a bigger deal than that. You may not want it. I know lots of people who do things for a hobby. Or they, as I say, go to a health spa for a week to help them relax. Or what we do in modern society, we take a holiday and go and lie on the beach. Because we lie on the beach and all our stress goes, and then we have to go home again. And so that's what's been on my mind recently. It's not particularly encouraging to hear that. If you want to follow what you think you're following, it's a bigger deal than you think it is. It's going to take more of you than you probably want to do. Of course, it's up to you. But the other thing is, it works both ways. If you manage to sit every day in zazen, then because of the physical posture, sitting in balance, with your head balanced over your shoulders and so on, that has an effect on how settled and stable you feel physically. And if we do that every day, then it changes us. We may find, I like to feel stable. It's much better than rushing off to work. So then, over maybe 10 years later, we find a way to 3 days or whatever. So zazen changes us. But at the same time, for that to happen, we have to realise that it's quite a big thing, actually. It's not a weekend activity to de-stress. It's much bigger than that. It's easy for me to say because I've reached the age where I don't have to do it so hard. As long as I don't mind having no money, I can have free time. But I have to pay the price for it. I don't have a house, I don't have much. But it's a good exchange for me. So what I'm trying to do is put into a modern context, in my experience, what people who are following the Buddha way have done through the centuries. They've disconnected a little bit. Has anybody read the book, popular book at the moment, written by an Israeli professor called Yuval Harari? Yeah. It's called Satya. Yeah. It's a story of the human race. I'm sure it's translated into Czech. It's really good because he slowly, through it's quite a thick book, makes us realise how society, as a shared mental belief, right, traps us, changes us, imprisons us, and how most of that prison we create ourselves. We believe in things that other human beings believe in, and so that becomes something good. Money's one good thing, which I believe. Well, read the book. It's very good. So in today's frenetic, chaotic, crazy society that we live in, we don't realise, many people don't realise that they're trapping themselves and that they're causing their own suffering, their unhappiness, because they can't let go. And we can see it in small ways. Check the phone. Josh, who's in artificial intelligence, was explaining to me how the algorithms that all these social networks are making to encourage you to pick the phone up are out of control now. So, you know, you're trapping yourself in your phone, walking through the countryside, you know, beautiful sun, walking down the street. So we're creating our own hell.
I think they call it fear of missing out. There is something happened that is this.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, we want to be in the group. Yeah. Well, it's nice to be part of the group. I mean, you know, the Sangha is part of the group. And in the group, you share something. But it's important, what are you sharing? I lived in Japan for nearly 30 years, and Japan is a group society. The most important thing in Japan is to fit in to your group. Your group may be your family, or your work colleagues, or your country. So, a group is useful, has benefits, but if you're trapped in it, might be nice to look for a way out.
Can I ask?
Yes.
So, I mean, I have periods in my life when I practice a little more. I see some benefits and start with support. And what happened periodically in history, I said, okay, I want to make it more in my life. And I push it a little bit in retrospective on my ego. I push it a little bit, in my family, okay, I want this time, it was ego trip, and of course it went badly, right? And it's hard to find a way with the family. Because my children, they get stuck vicious and they want to share my time and my wife has part of being family is engaged with other ones, not just So I only think which helped a bit. We start I coupled one day of walking and I have like 3 Fridays. But then it's still struggling, and every time I try to push by my by deciding how to do it, it starts to ego trip and it's a not bad line.
Well, everything's an ego trip. Those egotistic people, extrovert people, just show their ego outside. Shy people, introvert people, have the same ego, they push it inside. Everybody has an ego. It's impossible to get rid
Yeah.
of
Everyone's trying to not to get ego.
it. Yeah.
But my and
Yeah, but you know, you're here, and you come to the Zazen day. So you have a very big, very close family. I don't have. I don't have any family here in Europe. You have a huge family and sisters and
yeah,
get together. So it's really difficult for you. My difficulty, I have a difficulty too. I'm alone. So we both have difficulties. You're solving yours a little bit. A little bit. So a little bit's great. Not one step is one step, isn't it?
it seems there's no other way. There's no rational shortcut.
There's no shortcuts, no.
You describe the state of Zazen,
Yeah.
and then you describe what kind of reality we shouldn't live or we that way. But you also mentioned that going wrong, that truth is everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is a label. Box. It's a box.
Yeah, all words are boxes, yeah.
Yeah.
All words are labelled.
Can you tell you what is the truth?
Yes. It's just
Without sitting Zazen and that kind of
if I tell you what the truth is, I've given you a label. You then look at the label and you look around. Where's Mike's truth?
I understand.
If I don't give you a label, you want to know. But it's here. It's evident. It's everywhere. It's here now.
Because the people use these 10 years love. Everybody is speaking about love.
Yeah.
I know what is love. Love is this. This is love. This is love.
Yeah.
It's a label.
Yeah.
How to, because you have thousands of people in love. It's the same about truth. But nobody can find often.
Yeah. So, do you want me to tell you, or do you want me to tell me more?
No. It's sometimes it's very difficult to be.
Are you asking me, or are you explaining something?
It's maybe how you manage it.
Yeah.
You are feeling that you are not in the truth.
Did you hear what I said to you? It's evident. It's here. This is all there is. This is what the label truth means. It means this life, here and now, your life, my life, with all our problems and our worries and bits of peace, this is it. That's the whole
It's
deal.
also the problem with family, but the problem with work.
The problem with family and the problem with work is not here in this room now. It's here, right? So leave what is here and just be here. And that's called realizing the truth. So to be where you are now, here, leaving your family, leaving society, is to realize truth. It's something stupid and simple, which any dog or cat does, or squirrel. But we can't do it. We can't leave it.
Or spider.
Sorry?
Or spider.
Or spider, yes. You can't do it. It's so difficult for us. It's almost impossible for us. Because we're so cerebral. Cerebral? Yeah. Because we're so cerebral, we have phones and computers and algorithms. Cerebral. Mental. So that excellence has created everything: tables, chairs, coffee, after a drink, soya, watches, everything. We created everything because we're so clever. So that's unbalanced. So we're using our power here to create something which is huge, but there's something else. We can't be where we are. We increasingly want to be somewhere where we're not, or we don't want to be where we are.
It's almost not possible, this type of direction. Go the opposite direction. This time, out.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to creating something with their mind.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, me too. Yeah. No, it's not. It's just like this. I give up. I give up being somewhere else, so I end up being here.
I would like to ask, because if you describe this like that, yeah, there are these problems which we usually create in the mind, so then it's best just to realize that it's in the mind and to be in here. It's much more understandable here when we are in session and so on. But can I? It's very difficult for me to do in real situation when I am in the middle of some big stress, when I do thousands of things.
Yes.
Do you have any way how what helps you to do this if you have a lot of feelings?
No. Slowly, through my 50, I've been practicing nearly 50 years now. Slowly, something changed. I don't know how. Only thing I can say is, what did I do consistently for 50 years? I sat in dozen every day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes maybe in 10 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. Now I have time, maybe a couple of hours a day. That's the one thing I did every day. So maybe, it's a hypothesis, which I can't prove, maybe Zazen slowly, almost unconsciously, changed me. Mm-hmm. Maybe the reason that I don't have a wife, I don't have a daughter here, I had 2 sisters, I don't have any sisters, I don't have any parents. Maybe that is all slowly something moving me into a peaceful area in my life. Mm-hmm. Hypothesis. I can't prove it. Mm-hmm. But I believe it. Mm-hmm. How do you do it? Well, if you practice Zazen every day, there will be a result. Everything has a result. Cause and effect. So the result of sitting in physical balance every day, you change your physiology. So it will change small, subtle things which you will never know. Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a belief. But whether you continue or not, nobody knows. I didn't know whether I would practice Zazen for 45 years. all I knew was, oh, I like this. Maybe I'll do it again. And then the next day I do it. I don't know whether following day I'm going to do it or not. Now it's become a habit, so I can say, I'm pretty certain I'm going to practice as an everyday until I die. More probably, unless I become very ill. But when I started, there was no guarantee that I was, to myself, that I was going to continue. So that's the way it starts. And then as you do it for longer, you start to have confidence. I seem to like this, I seem to be doing this.
It's not a big paradox. You speak about 40 years which passed and which I've done. It's your memories. And you speak about what you can do in years and years of practice. But it's just this mode like, yeah, I will, this panic mode, I will, live healthily or exercise more, whatever. I just realized my mind shifted to this panic mode, I want to achieve something. There is this, Mike speak about this 2000, doesn't.
Yeah, so this is why teachings are important. Because the teachings say, no, you don't need to achieve anything. You need to stop trying to achieve things if you want. So for some people, that's too much. No, my whole life I want to achieve something. So fine. But the Buddha is to give up wanting to achieve something in that sense. Intentionally, I want to become better, bigger, richer, more famous. Those kind of achievements, give them up. Then you can achieve. Today I was happy. Today, now I'm here. I'm not anywhere else. And it's okay. That's an achievement. But it's not something that you want to get to which you don't have.
Even better that it's I'm happy just now and it's okay.
Yeah. Whether the Buddha way, the Buddha's truth, will be popular or not, I don't know. That doesn't look very hopeful. Dogen, is so famous now, but when he lived, he was in a little temple up in the away from the city, and just a few students living with him, and then he wrote all this stuff, and then they put it in a big box, and nobody looked at it for 400 years. They said, oh, it's important, and bow to it, don't want me. So, but the truth is the truth. I mean, the truth that the Buddha talked about is something so simple. The word truth is useless to describe it. Because truth is abstract. So directly we give a label, as Boris said. We create the label in here, then we look for it. So we're looking for the truth. But it's not something you look for, it's something you stop looking for. So the Koan stories were always amusing. a student says to his master, please tell me what's the essence of the Buddhist truth? And the master says, would you like a cup of tea? And that's not a joke. But it's so difficult for us, for me too, for everybody. And in modern society, where all our life is moving into here, where, we're living in here. So it's very unbalanced. So we like sport, opposite. Physical activity, go to the gym, do yoga, anything to take us out of here. I can't bear it in here, so I do some stretches or go for a walk, which is important. So sport is becoming, physical activity is becoming very, very important to take us out of our virtual world. Time to stop now.
Okay, 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Can I ask if is my understanding correct that if we sit zazen every day,
Yeah.
That we create less anger and pride in conflict to the extent that we don't have to revisit that conflict in our head afterwards.
Well, I say yes, but I can't prove anything. In that sense, I can only tell you my experience, yes. In my experience, yes, from me. Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that part, that revisiting part in my mind.
Yeah.
That revisiting part in my mind. Like I am looking back at some conflict, going over it.
Oh, it's gone. It's,
Yeah.
You can't let go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If there's some people who still need to move our ass, it's all going to fight sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, well, I can't tell you everything in 1 hour. So we can talk about moving later. In the future. This human being is a really strong awareness. Well, I don't know. I'm just. I met him a few times, and I was quite interested. I thought we could discuss things, but he's a teacher, so he can only teach me. He can't talk to me. So
How he explains.
So I listened to some of his teachings, and I understand that the meditation he does is deep samadhi, where you go into yourself, which I don't understand because I can't go into myself. And then in there, he says, you see the real nature of impermanence. But to me, that I can't understand that.
Remember me some starting talks about Buddha who went to his ascets first.
Went to
Ascets. You have a talk about Buddha life, and he's going to ascets. They are searching some very subtle something.
the yogins.
Yogins,
Yeah.
ascets.
Ascetics.
Ascetics. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he was searching.
Sounds like something like this. This going into itself and then
Yes, yes, maybe, maybe. I can only tell you what I learned, and I was quite surprised to realise that we seem to be doing something completely different. And he's a really nice man, and he has many students across the world. He knows lots and lots of Buddhist theory, and he read all the sutras. He speaks Chinese, Japanese, Hindi, Sanskrit, Czech, German, English, Spanish. He's a very bright guy. I was surprised to realise that what he's doing, what I'm doing, he has a big notice on his Buddhism is only one. And then I think we're doing something different. Completely different. Thank you.